Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me, I have an amazing human being, Dr. Moses McCutcheon. I always struggle with this. Did I say it correctly, Dr. Moses?
Yes,
Beautiful. I
McCutcheon. Yes,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. You have been part of our community. You show up in a big way, and you're very heart-centered. So, audience members, thank you for tuning in and joining us. I wanted to make sure that I introduce Dr. Moses to you, have him talk to you a little bit more about what he does, so you get to benefit from this amazing human being. So, Dr. Moses, welcome to this show. Tell us a little bit more about what you do and why it's important, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you first of all for having me on the show. And I do this work because I had a problem that I needed to solve for myself. And so what was that problem? That problem was I knew I was going to go to college out of high school, but I did not know how to choose a college major.
Mm.
I had literally learned to do about 20 things during my K-12 years. And at the time, I didn't realize what I was doing, but I was actually exploring at that time. And now it's time to go to college. And I'm saying, what am I going to do? And what would my major be? Because now I need to respond to the major. And the major was 1 out of 20. And then, of course, you can have a minor. So that's 2 out of 20. But how do you make those decisions, which was what I was struggling with?
Right.
And I always thought that if a person going to work, they should do something that they enjoy, because if they enjoy it, they'll do their best work. But I didn't know how to get there. So that became my goal. I started studying how do I make this decision? So I slowed my own educational process down to get the answer to that. So that's why I'm doing this work now, because once I discovered how to do it, and then it was like God spoke to me one day and said, well, now that you know how to do it, find out who else needs this. You can't be the only one. And so now uh, I did a study at a high school, grades 9 through 12, and found out that the students, 50% of them had admitted that they did not know what they wanted to be or do. And of course, I was in that group. And I was at a high school one day talking to a vice principal about my work. And so she asked, I was telling her, I said, I want to help everybody like me, meaning that those who had the same problem I had, struggling to get to a major, trying to decide what they're going to do later in life. I said, I can help all of those people. I've been there. I walked that path.
Right.
And so she looked at me and said, well, what about the others? And I said, the others? What do you mean? She said, the others. She kept saying the others. And so I said, well, I can't help them because they already know what they're going to do. I can help this group because I'm in that group. I'm one of those who do not know.
Right.
And when she left, I couldn't get that out of my head. One, why did she ask me that question? And then two, what do I need to know about this group? Perhaps I don't know.
Dr.
So,
Moses, you bring up a really important point here. I know that I had difficulty picking a major when I was in college, and
yes,
I hear all of these different comments being in the family community, from kids that say, well, they tell me to follow my passions, but how do you know what your passions are? To
right.
people who say, isn't that what college is for you to figure out who it is? To other people who expect the kids by now that they're 18 to have an inkling of understanding of what they stand for or against and what their passions are. So where do we go with this? Because this is becoming a big problem with the new generation that's coming.
Well, it has always been a problem. It's just that it has gotten worse,
Right.
And so what happens is that this needs to be done during the K-12 years so that when you go to college now, you are on the right path and you are making the money that's being spent is truly an investment, or it's a good investment in that you are paying for what you really need and not more than what you need.
Right.
So this this study that I did, what happened was that I conducted a study on the other group, this other group that she kept talking about, and I was shocked. This group, it turns out that when they went through the training, and I teach a course on this now, when they went through the training, these students really did not know. They thought they knew. So they started telling me, oh, I said, well, you said you knew and you chose this. And they said to me, well, I didn't know that this exists. What I've learned in the class now provided clarity for me, and I'm able now to choose this. And so it has changed. And
Right.
that turned out to be about 47% of the students. So
Wow.
this group was in a worse place than the first group. But had
And
it not been for that conversation I had with the vice principal, I hadn't even thought about that group. I'm saying, I can't help them. But yes, I can help them. They're in a worse place than the group that knows.
so we have a group that outright doesn't know what they want to do. And then we have a group that thinks they know what they want to do. But out of that, nearly half of them, they also don't know, or
They
they
don't
thought that
know.
they knew. Right. Okay. So when you talk to these kids, what's the typical concern when they're trying to figure this out? What's their struggle, their challenge in trying to pick something?
Well, they literally, well, the first group that know that they don't know, this is something that they don't think about until they take the assessment.
Hmm.
It's not even a conversation.
Right.
It's not a conversation at home. It's not a conversation at school. The only question that is asked at school is, well, what do you want to be? The age-old question. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
And then you get a broad answer to that.
Right.
Okay. So the idea is that school talks about the major, and the business world wants to know what you can do for me. Okay, those are two different things. So
That's
you can
very, yeah,
be
you're
talking
right.
about a major. Well, my major, the you get a good general education, and the major gives you a broad enough background that now you need to reduce that to something specific for the workplace.
That's true. That's true.
You see, and so they struggle with getting that. And the idea, that's why I place so much emphasis on this assessment. This assessment piece is
Mhm.
actually the starting point for that, because I found out that they don't even think about this until they get to the assessment. Then when they get to the assessment, that's when they start to struggle. And so I tell them, when you take the assessment, you are in essence your teacher. You're the teacher and you are the student. So now you are making the rules regarding this, which means that if your answer is no, or I don't know, that's your A answer, because it's the truth. What we are doing with this assessment is seeking the truth,
Got it.
whatever the truth is.
So for parents and kids who are watching this,
Yes.
I wanted to get two tips that right afterwards they could actually go ahead and apply. The first one is for the parents. What would you encourage the parents do between the ages of K to 12? What would be something that they would do to help the kids in this process so they'll be ahead of this curve? And what would be your recommendation for kids, college kids, or even earlier, high school, junior high, that you think they should be kind of getting themselves involved in or asking themselves to kind of start moving in the right direction? So two tips, basically, one for parents, one for kids. What would you give?
Okay. Let's start with the kids. Well, for both groups, it starts with the assessment. Take the free assessment.
Mhm.
And from that free assessment, what you don't know becomes your goal.
Ah,
That's your chance to find out, to get the answer to that.
got it. Okay.
Okay.
And then for
And
parents?
for the parent, I have a separate assessment for the parent, which asks different questions. So the same idea is go through this assessment, take the assessment, and see what those answers are. Any
So,
answer you are not satisfied with or you cannot answer, that becomes your goal to get answers to those.
so why would parents need an assessment in helping their kids?
Well, because the parent has a great deal of education. They've already been in the workplace, they've already lived, and they will resonate with a lot of the things that I'm talking about. For example, I've had parents to tell me that they asked me, said, well, where were you when I was going through school? And then I have to tell them, well, I was learning this myself. And then another parent was saying that he purchased a book for his son who had graduated from college, but wasn't doing anything. And so when I saw him, I asked him, I said, well, how is the book working? He said, well, I don't know where the book is. And then his wife was a few feet behind me. And then she came and she said, well, I have the book. I'm reading the book, and the book starts with their parents, schools and organization with middle and high school students. So it starts out with a letter from the parents, and it's written in a way that the parent can go through it. They will resonate with what I'm talking about. And then when they go through it, they can see how they can help the child.
Okay, so Dr. Moses, how can people learn more about this assessment and connect with you?
Okay, first my email, school2success@gmail.com. And the
Awesome.
two is TO. Okay, school2success@gmail.com. Another place they can go is school2successacademy.com, which is my academy website. This is an academy for career guidance,
Awesome.
education, and training, the
Awesome.
first of its kind, and it's needed, and it addressed a real need, because we have kids that get a good education, like this example of an individual who was studying psychology in the graduate program, and then told the parents, said, well, you're supposed to graduate in about another month. She said, well, I'm not going to graduate because this is not what I want to do. So you can't wait
Awesome.
to the college level to do these things. You can do it when it's free if you want to go to a public school. Now, if many of the kids, the parents can afford it, they go to a private school, they pay, but they have the option of going to a public school, then they don't have to pay. The best time to explore is during the K-12 years, and we have tools for that. And I'm
Awesome.
here to serve parents, families, and businesses and organizations who serve families, because I have trained a trainer where we can support them who will help the parents with this area. I do this work because I was one of those students, and I'm telling you, that's not a good feeling.
Right. I
When
appreciate it,
oh
Dr.
no,
Moses. Of course,
yeah,
time is short, but I want to make sure that we include the assessment that you generously have provided in there. So the contact information will be in there. Parents, guys, kids, I encourage you guys to connect and take advantage of what Dr. Moses is talking about. Check out the website, reach out to him, and make sure that you save yourselves time and money and a lot of aggravation by making sure that you don't end up in the wrong careers and the wrong paths in life, and get a good head start on what
yes.
becomes your young adult life. So Dr. Moses, thank you so much for being here, and thank you, audience members, for joining us. If you haven't already done so, be sure to click subscribe so you get notifications of all the experts that come on the channel, share of their expertise and wisdom, share with you their tips, as well as some of these gifts that they provide for you. And until next time, we'll see you later. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.